Hello! In the next lessons, I will show you how you build your first sample portfolio page. For building our first page, we will use awesome tool called Requirebin. So requirebin.com. On the left side, we will write our code. And on the right side, we will have a live preview. So while we're writing the code, we can immediately see how the page will look like. So this is the end result. At the end, we will, of course, also upload it to our domain, to GitHub pages. But for now, we will show you how to do it in the Requirebin. So in the page, we will, on the top, use our GitHub image. So we will pull the image from GitHub directly, so we don't have to upload it to the page itself. We will also use the email, the name from the GitHub, and whatever we put in the description under biography. Then we will continue with a nice jumpy arrow. Here is the part for our portfolio, the title, and the short description. So now you can see that in the second part, we will also build a quiz app and link it to this part of the page. Then at the end, we will add some short description and finish with links to our GitHub page, our email, and Facebook. As you could notice, we also add a little specialty, the background color that changes with our scrolling. So from green to pink, then to orange, yellow, and at the end to the blue. And also this part is interesting. Our portfolio, there is some little animation. So when we go with the mouse over, our button moves a little bit, changes the background, and also the text comes from the side. So all this in a couple of lessons you will know how to do. So let's get started. As we said, we will use our magical Requirebin, and when we start, it's completely empty, so we have a white screen. But let's fill it out with our first step. First thing what we will do is to use a Yoyo npm module. What does that mean? npm is a package manager for JavaScript. This is like a library where you can find, share, and reuse packages of code from other developers. So there is hundreds of thousands of developers from all over the world making little packages of code and uploading it to npm. And it's completely free and everybody can reuse it. So in the future, when you know how to develop, you can also create these packages and put it on npm for other developers to use it. So we will start with a Yoyo app, with a Yoyo module. And this Yoyo module basically creates a node element or DOM element that is inside of Yo, and you will soon figure out what that actually means. So we start with creating a first variable. So as you can see, this is just a comment. The computer doesn't read this, but this is just for you to know what it does. But we can delete it now. So we create a first variable called webpage, and inside of this variable we use Yo, backtick, and we finish with a backtick. What is a backtick? If we come close, you can see that backtick is not a single quote. It's a special character that you have to search on your keyboard just that you don't mess it up with a single quote. This is definitely not this symbol. So we use a backtick. So yo, backtick, then comes HTML, and at the end we finish with another backtick. So this thing here inside is HTML. If you go and check on DevDocs, this is like documentation where you can read everything about JavaScript, HTML, DOM, CSS, all these crazy expressions that you will be meeting in your future. But in order to understand them better, go to devdocs.io and read a little bit more about them. But just a general thing, HTML is a markup language, which means it is used for structuring our web pages. So you can basically create a web page with different elements: head, title, body, article, section, paragraph, div, span, image, picture, button, and so on. So let's go back. We will basically create an opening and closing div. So whenever you create a certain tag, you have to also close it, and you close it with this backslash. So div and then closing div, and inside we create a title, then we close the title and we say hello world, and then we add another element, div, that says welcome to my page. We add one more, so this is another element, and we finish with a simple button that says click me. So this is how we structure our page. So let's run the code. Oops, nothing happens. Why? Because Yoyo for us creates an element, a string, but we have to put it into DOM. Here you can read a little bit more about what is a DOM, but you can imagine it as a stage. We prepare our code, Yoyo packs it into a nice string, but in order to come out on the stage and to become visible, we have to append it to our body. So every document in the DOM has a body, and inside of the body we have to append the child web page that includes the whole string. So the string with HTML. Let's run the code and voila! So as you could see, only with a simple Yoyo HTML that we save in the variable and wrap it with yo and backtick, finish with another backtick, and then append this web page to document body, we basically get to see our first result. Super. So let's continue. So now, if we want to reuse this page or this structure many times, we could basically copy it twice here. Oopsie. We can copy this thing twice. But what if we want to use it 100 times? As you know, in order not to repeat ourselves, we learn how to create functions. So we will simply store this, instead of in the variable, in a function called template that will return the string in which we store our HTML, and we will append now a template function to our document body. So let's check, it works, and now we can simply reuse this as many times as we want. Simple as that. Okay, so let's continue. We use now currently just once, but we have a function ready, so we can manipulate this and reuse it whenever we will need it. So let's move to the step 2. This is an ugly page, as you could see, so let's style it a little bit. So HTML, like we mentioned before, is a structure of a page. But in order to style the page, we use another language that is called CSS. So CSS enables us to do many things, to change font size, animations, padding, that means how much space it has around the certain element. We can change the background colors, we can add and manipulate the image, so tons of different things that we can do with CSS. But we will start with a simple thing. First of all, in order to use CSS, we will have to use another module. This time, the module is called CSJS. Okay, so in order to maybe save these modules, you can visit web pages, GitHub pages of these modules, and simply start them. So when you start, you can go to your profile and you can see what are the start projects so that you don't forget important modules. Okay, let's go back to npm, and as we said, we will use another module. We again require it the same as Yoyo, and then we create another variable called CSS, and then we use CSJS command, backtick, close it with backtick, and inside we add CSS. How does CSS work? We have different elements, div, h1, button, and so on, and we use the selectors to say what is the element that we want to style. Then we do the open curly braces, closed curly braces, and inside we say what we want to do with that certain element. So body is actually the whole page, and we will add a background color to the body, and then we will also style an h1 tag. We will set the color for this h1, we will set the font size, and we will set that the text align is center. So let's run, and it already looks a little bit better. So we have a title in the middle. This is this. So if we now change the size, you can see we can restyle it. So let's put it back to 2. We can also change the color, like background color, for example. We do inspect element. Until now we were only using console, but now we can use also elements. So when you do inspect elements, you can basically open HTML, and inside of the body you find all the elements So you can click on the concrete element and it will find it for you. So it's an H1. And this is div, and this is a button. So if we want to change the background color, we click here and body. So our body has a background color, which is this green. And now we want it to be pink. So if we want this color, we would just replace these numbers. So we are using HSLA type of writing a color, where this is a color, this is the saturation, this is light, and this is opacity, which means transparency. So you can change the saturation, of this certain color. You can change the light, and you can change the opacity. This is hard to see now because there is no background, but if there would be like a picture below, you could set opacity to 0.2 and then you could basically see through, because this is like transparent. But for now we are satisfied, so we will keep using our green background color. And let's move to the next step. Fonts. Here currently we have default fonts, but we would like to have something nicer. So let's use fonts.google.com. So we can now decide to use whichever fonts we like. Let's try with Ubuntu. So if we click on the font, we can see how it looks. And if we like it, oopsie, we can select the font, go here, and copy this information. So we did that already for Ubuntu. So we create links array, and currently in this array is only one font, but if we will use many fonts in the future, we can just make a comma and add another font, and then just use this other font too. So we store the link. This is the link. So we store this link in our links. Then we create a variable font. We again use yo backtick, and then we create a link tag. This is the whole thing. So we could basically just use this like this, but because we want to make it nicer, we stored the links in the array, and we are calling it here links first. So this one. So whenever inside of the yo you use a certain variable or the array, you have to put a $sign, opening brackets, opening curly braces, and closing. So if you would do only like this, it would not work. So variable, like if there would be a variable font or something, we would have to make a $sign, open curly braces, and closed curly braces. So now it would work. But we use links, so we pack them like this. And then we also append the font to the head of the document. Okay? And there is one little thing that we have to do. We have to add the font family to our CSS. So, because we want to use it in the whole document, we will add it to the body. So our font family is Ubuntu Sans Serif. So as you can see, it's defined here, so you don't have to figure out how to do it. You can just simply copy from here. And let's try it out. Yes, you can see that we have a very nice font called Ubuntu. Ta-da! Okay, we are ready to make the last step. We can use the colors. See? So we will add the colors here and we will use them in our CSS. So as you could see, we can use different types of naming fonts. So let's check it out now. We used the capital here, capital letters, so we have to change. And gray. And we can align a little bit to make it pretty and more readable. So also here, because we are using it inside of these backticks, we have to always use variables inside of the curly braces and a dollar sign. So our background color is this one. Our font family is, we have to create one. So the font family, we will say var font equals, and we copy from here. See? Like this. This is the font, so we can just use the variable, and we use gray as an H1, and this is it. So if we now want to change the color, background color to pink, we have the variable here, so we can reuse it. But if you would want to now say violet, it of course wouldn't work because we didn't define the violet color here. So we can only use those. So how do you pick the colors? Which one should you use? Basically, I would recommend you a wonderful tool, colors.co. Here you can find suggestions of color schemes so that you see which colors basically fit together. So this is one possibility. Then if you use a space button, you can get another and another and another. So when you get to the color palette that you like, you simply copy these things, name them, and store them in your variables. So if you would now choose this one, you could say peach color, pink, this orange, green, brown, brown and green, for example, or dark green, light green, or however. Store them here, and then you can use them in your CSS, and you get exactly the color palette that you like. So go to colors.co and choose the palette that you like, add them into your fonts. I would suggest that you go and replace these colors with HSLA type, like I showed you before, because then we can also use these other options. So we can make it transparent and we can use it lighter and darker. So the only thing you have to do is basically go to the body, pick the color, and then you type in your color 26547C, and this is the green one, and then you find the HSLA and you write this in HSLA. So 165 50 27, 165 50 27, 125 50 27, that's a little bit time consuming, but once you do it, then you have it saved. So the last number is missing for me. So 200, no, see? Ah, this is blue. Then it's a mistake. So it's 38 84 124. 38 84 124. 38 24. 38 84 124. 24 and a 1. So let's see if it works. If we would now use blue as a background. No, so then without this. Okay, let me just check once again our code. Okay, we will fix this in the next lesson so that we don't spend time with this, but for now let's just use this. And gray. Okay, so this is the first step of building the app. Check it out, pick your colors, save them, pick your font and also save it here. Style your page a little bit, play around. Don't forget to append the child to the body and also to append the font. So try it out, go to requirebean.com. Maybe just the last thing, we create a new folder, which is require bean page. And we will add all the links So first one is require bin, second one is colors, then we add npm devdocs and Google Fonts. So now you have the full pack to get started. So see you in the next lesson.